Source engineer in Hawthorne, California, 4:42 a.m. Central Time. Dragon Freedom has made contact and soft capture with the International Space Station as the two were flying together 262 statute miles over the South Pacific Ocean.
Ring retraction in progress.
We see it.
With a good soft capture, the ring is now retracting, pulling Dragon closer in with the International Docking Adapter aboard the International Space Station. This is part of a series of steps to formally hard mate the Dragon to the International Space Station after the soft capture ring is fully retracted and bringing the Dragon inwards. There is a series of 12 hooks that will secure Dragon to the International Space Station for what's called a hard dock. After that, the umbilical will be deployed, providing power and communications and data between the Dragon and the International Space Station. This is the docking sequence. Once the umbilical is extended and mated, the docking sequence is complete. Again, that soft capture time where Dragon made contact and a soft capture with the International Space Station, 4:42 a.m. Central Time. Station and Dragon were 262 statute miles over the South Pacific Ocean. Ring retraction proceeding as expected, getting views from one of the cameras on the Japanese exposed facility on the forward end of the space station, seeing the starboard side of the Dragon. As we continue to monitor the progress of this ring retraction, now getting some sun illuminating the nadir or Earth-facing side, and now the whole thing of Dragon Freedom. Sun is rising over the South Pacific Ocean as Dragon and International Space Station continue to fly on a southeastern trajectory. Flight controllers monitoring the ring retraction and the alignment with the International Docking Adapter to proceed with driving those hooks. They'll be driven in 2 sets, gangs of 6, total of 12 hooks. They'll be driven again 6 at a time. The rated hook indicators are starting to form green, showing some good alignment, still tracking.
And Dragon SpaceX on the big loop, ring retraction is complete. Docking sequence is holding for MCS reconfiguration.
Freedom, what's happening?
Good milestone. The ring retraction is complete. We're seeing good alignment. This is quite a dance. It's not just the Dragon performing some of these maneuvers to secure Dragon to the International Space Station. International Space Station itself performing a series of attitude control configurations to prepare for the hard docking sequence. Once station's attitude control is configured properly, we'll go ahead and proceed towards the hard docking and driving those hooks. The teams you see here in Houston on the right and Hawthorne, California on the left work together to bring Dragon to the International Space Station. We're still going through the docking sequence to formally mate the Dragon with the International Space Station, seeing good alignment with that ring retraction, and looking forward to proceeding to that hard dock and driving those hooks. Again, 4:42 a.m. Central Time was when we made contact and soft capture with the International Space Station. Dragon Freedom coming more clearly into view.
Station Houston on the big loop, MCS configured, proceeding with hook driving.
Station copies.
Attitude control configured on the International Space Station side. We're just using the control moment gyros for this sequence. With the station in the proper attitude, we can proceed towards driving those hooks. Again, we're going to do them 6 at a time, total of 12 hooks. Once both set of hooks are traveling and have secured, that'll complete the hard docking sequence, and then we'll deploy that umbilical. The first set of 6 hooks are currently driving. We can expect the hooks to drive about 2 minutes apart from one another. Holistically, we're looking at about 4 minutes of driving hooks. Again, 6 at a time. Stand by for the hook's performance, but it should be just a few moments until we complete that hard dock. Again, that's not the end of the docking sequence. After a hard dock, we'll deploy the umbilical between the Dragon and the International Space Station. This provides data and power between the two vehicles. Dragon, up to this point, during its flight after launching on January 18th, has been relying on its batteries and the solar arrays you see on the trunk of the vehicle. That's the black part that you see on the space-facing side, gathering power as it continues to orbit the Earth. Once those umbilicals are deployed, they'll be relying on the station's power, gathering power from the station's solar arrays. Hooks continuing to drive, seeing a good seal on the International Docking Adapter interface. Again, those first set of hooks are continuing to drive. Teams are seeing a good set of first hooks. Those first set of hooks have driven and have closed. Now the second set of hooks are driving. Again, 12 in total. So the first 6 have been secured. The next 6 are driving. That'll complete the hard dock of Dragon to the International Space Station. One more step after that, deploying that umbilical. Again, we have a soft capture of Dragon Freedom to the International Space Station. That was at 4:42 a.m. Central Time. We're now in the hard dock sequence. 12 hooks are used to secure Dragon. The first set of hooks have driven,
Dragon,
and we just heard
SpaceX
that
hard
second
capture
hooks.
is complete.
Ax-3, we'll copy.
So 12 hooks, all deployed, all securing Dragon for a hard dock to the International Space Station. One more step to complete the docking sequence, deploying that umbilical. In the meantime, with a hard dock that does secure the Dragon to the International Space Station, they don't have to be as careful with the loads imparting on the inside. Typically during this sequence, they have what's called an exercise constraint, so the astronauts on board station, all 7 of them, are not allowed to exercise during that time, so there's no oscillation, no vibration. They've just lifted that constraint for the crew inside so they can get on with their workout. In the meantime, we're still standing by for the deployment of the umbilical on Dragon to complete the docking sequence.
Houston Station on 2, we are stepping out of Dragon approach monitoring.
Houston copies and concurs.
Welcome to Space Station Axiom-3. Looking forward to seeing you soon.
Thanks, Laura. We're excited to get started.
With all hooks driven, Laurel O'Hara and Jasmine Mogbelli inside the space station are relieved of their monitoring duties, welcoming the crew to the space station. The soft capture ring has been stowed, all 12 hooks are driven, and the umbilical is now deploying. We are almost done with the docking sequence.
And Dragon Freedom, this is SpaceX. Docking sequence is complete, and the ground will be enabling hardline power and comm connections shortly. You are go to doff your suits per procedure 4.012, and we'll go ahead and make sure cameras are external.
4.010 work.
And copy Dragon, just to note that's 4.012.
KLV 4.012.
And with that, Dragon Freedom and the Axiom Mission 3 crew inside has formally docked to the International Space Station. The docking sequence is complete. After completing a capture and soft dock at 4:42 a.m. Central Time, all 12 hooks have secured Dragon to the station. The umbilical has been deployed. Laurel O'Hara and Jasmine Mogbelli have been released of their duties. The crew inside is able to exercise. Inside the space station is able to exercise, and the crew inside Dragon is able to doff their suits or take off their suits. The dynamic portion of docking and the safeguard needed for those suits is complete. The Dragon crew, it will now doff their suits and prepare for entering the station in just about approximately an hour and a half. Maybe some change, but we're looking at a hatch opening approximately 6:30 a.m. Central Time. If they stick with the timeline, we'll continue to monitor and provide updates and continue our coverage of the Axiom Mission 3 crew's arrival to the International Space Station, but based on current planning, that is what we are planning for. After hatches are opened, the crew members of Expedition 70 will welcome the Axiom Mission 3 crew to the International Space Station, and the cadre of 11 will gather for a welcome ceremony to begin their 14-day stay, their journey aboard the International Space Station. Again, teams in control rooms on the International Space Station Flight Control Room on the right, and SpaceX Flight Control Team on the left in Hawthorne, California, working in tandem to bring the Axiom Mission 3 crew to the International Space Station, docking at 4:42 a.m. Central Time. Now, with the docking sequence complete, the crew and the teams will make steps to bring the Axiom Mission 3 crew inside the International Space Station. One of the primary things that will happen over the next hour and a half before the hatches are opened is there is a space in between the Dragon hatch and the International Space Station hatch called the vestibule, currently at vacuum. We need to bring that up to equalize the pressure between Dragon and the station, about what we find at sea level, 14.7 pounds per square inch. That process will take some time, introducing air and making sure there are no temperature fluctuations, and we're getting a good read to make sure there are no leaks as we methodically bring the pressure up from vacuum up to 14.7 psi.
SpaceX Freedom on the big loop, comp check from the cabin mic.
And Dragon SpaceX, we've got you loud and clear on the cabin mic.